All right, welcome to another two card review. Excited to keep this going and doing this. So we're finished. No, we're not finishing up Scarlet Witch. We're like right at the end of Scarlet Witch. Like we're like this far away from Scarlet Witch. So we got two more cards to go over. This is still like the back of the deck, back of the pack, I guess. Really cards that she has back there. So we're gonna go over them. Some good cards, I think. Some cards that generally I like. Yeah, I think they're good cards. So anyway, let's dive over and check out these cards. All right, really quick before we dive into these cards, two quick things. Two quick things. If you don't know and you don't actually want to watch these videos on YouTube because there's too many ads or whatever it may be, I do have a podcast. It should be in all podcast players. If it's not, let me know and I'll make sure to get it added onto. But I did all the major ones I know of. So all the podcast players, it's out there. It's already on there. This way, if you just like to listen to this stuff in the background, you don't want to get disrupted by ads or whatever it may be, you can do that. It's really easy. Two, recently, a lot of people have been joining the YouTube page as members, and I greatly appreciate it, right? The tier starts at 99 cents. It's not a lot of money, but it helps out this channel immensely, all right? Everyone that signed up recently, thank you. Honestly, it means a ton, so thank you for signing up. Like I said, it honestly means a ton. It makes a big difference in this channel, so thank you. I really appreciate it. And then those that are listening to podcasts or don't like doing things through YouTube, you can also go over to patreon.com/D20woodworking. There's different tiers there to get different benefits and whatnot. You can check it out. The link's down below in the description. All right, so we're back of Scarlet Witch pack, right? And we're starting off with Last Stand. This is a leadership event, zero cost event. It's a tactic card. Hero interrupts. When an ally you control attacks, it gets +3 for that attack. After that attack resolves, discard that ally. It's okay, right? There's a time and a place for this card. I don't mind this card for making like a final push, right? When I'm making a final push, it's not bad. Or there are times, especially with leadership, where it's like, man, I already got 3 allies out there and I'm about to put a 4th one out there, right? And I'm going to have to discard down to 3 anyway at the end of the phase, which I don't know if people know that. Like you could put 4 out there, but the end of the phase has to go down to 3. I'm pretty sure that's the way it works, unless the rules change recently. I generally speaking, I'm usually stuck at 3, but I'm swapping out the 3rd one a lot. Anyway, I like the idea of it, right? I like the idea of this card of, again, you have to kind of get an ally out anyway. You're going to, you have a bunch of allies or whatever it may be. So, okay, let them swing for +3. And +3 for solo is generally really good. I think this card might be less useful multiplayer. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I've ever really ran it in multiplayer now that I think about it. Because I'm going to be putting so many allies out there. I kind of want them to help the protection player as a blocker. So for me, using Last Stand isn't the best. Now, again, for leadership, I could focus a lot more on just getting allies out there and cycling through them and whatever. So maybe it works if I really build around it. But if I'm really building around something, I generally want to build around a Voltron ally, right? Where you put a bunch of upgrades and whatever it may be onto the ally to make them like +3 attack and +3 thwarting and 1,000 more HP or whatever it does, right? There's a ton of different ways you can do things. So I think for me, if I'm playing multiplayer, I'm probably not using this card. It'd be interesting to hear if you all use this card, if you think it works well in multiplayer. I think for solo, again, if I get a couple allies out there that I don't need that many and I'm going to be cycling through them constantly, I don't mind this card. Is it a card I run often? No, not at all. Is it a card that I've played around with and tried to make things work and do interesting things? Yeah, I mean, again, a 0 for 3 attack is essentially what this card is, which isn't bad, right? 0 for 3 is pretty decent. It's just that you lose a blocker in it, right? You had to pay for the ally. It'd be nice if you can use the ally to like attack or thwart first, ready it up, and then use Last Stand. Like something like that would be much more useful in my opinion. But there's not a ton of situations in which you can do that. So that'd be more ideal, I guess is what I should say. So anyway, it's an okay card. Something great. Have I found times to use it? Sure. I found a time or two to use it, but I don't think it's like super strong, right? I don't think it's a super strong card. So anyway, let me know your thoughts about this card if you use it a lot or haven't used a lot. All right, next we got to talk about is Bait and Switch. This is a protection event, a 1-cost event. It's a thwart card. Hero action thwart. The villain attacks you. Remove 4 threat from the main scheme. Now, I believe we talked about the other day. It wasn't toe-to-toe, but it was the justice one, whatever that was. Actually, I can look at it really fast. Didn't we have a justice one we were just doing with this, I feel like? Swift retribution. That's right. The villain schemes deal 4 damage to the villain. So this is the villain attacks you as a protection player. Maybe you want this, maybe you don't. Remove 4 threat from the main scheme. Now, early on, I feel like protection wasn't great at removing threat off the main scheme. It's not fantastic still, but it's much better, right? Hard to ignore, which I don't know if we covered yet or not, is an upgrade that kind of like lets you do it, and you get 3 of them out there, and you're just cranking through the main scheme, so you don't have to really worry about it. It also stinks that bait and switch is focusing on just the main scheme. I wish it was a scheme, especially for kind of future proofing the game of, hey, if I want to get a player side scheme going, or I want to get a regular side scheme, right? Like there's so many other things out there now that just doing off the main scheme doesn't seem as useful anymore. That's not bad, but it doesn't seem as useful. So bait and switch, does it have a purpose in which you can use it? Sure, right? Like, I could see myself using it in a perfect defense deck where I'm doing things that trigger when the villain attacks. So I want them to attack me. Like, I have a bunch of retaliate or whatever it may be. Or I have a tough that I need to kind of waste because I'm about to put another tough on, right? There's been several situations where I've had that going on with just too many toughs, which is a weird problem to have, but it does happen. So anyway, bait and switch, like, if you could do that, sure. And to remove threat from the scheme, does it help? Sure, right? It's a very, I think, solo-oriented card because, generally speaking, if you're playing multiplayer, protection's probably not worrying about the main scheme, right? Unless you're doing like some interesting aggression protection duality build, right? One of you is protection, one's aggression. Then maybe you need to work on both of you removing threat off of schemes. Maybe that's the angle as well. But it does feel like a solo-focused card, and it feels like a card that is really focused on trying to solve a problem that was happening in the community back in the day. This problem doesn't really happen as much anymore. Again, protection isn't great at removing threat, but it's not bad nowadays. And there's enough basic cards that are pretty good at removing threat that like you don't really have to worry about it as much. So, did I play with it a while ago? Yeah, a little. I messed with it. Again, I'm not the biggest protection player, but did I mess around with it? Yeah, sure. Do I see myself in the future really messing around with bait and switch? Probably not, unless I'm doing like a crazy tough status build or something like that, or a perfect defense where I want them to hit me because them hitting me actually does more damage to them than and doesn't do any damage to me. Maybe, right? Maybe, but it's going to be pretty rare, I think, circumstances. All right, so I'm excited to be doing this series once again for this week. So do me a huge favor. If you're listening to this on the podcast, make sure to subscribe, comment, whatever it may be. I appreciate it. You're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button. That stuff really helps out. Hit the like, subscribe, turn notifications. Let me know if your notifications don't work. A bunch of content creators and I were talking about this. The notifications on YouTube may not be working. If you don't think they are, let me know because I can talk to YouTube about it. And I'm kind of genuinely curious if it's affected you. So anyway, appreciate all the support. Thank you all very much. And I will see you all next time.